Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar, Women Facilitating Innovation in the Forest Sector, Too Easy to be True. My name is Katrin Böhling. I am a senior researcher at the Bavarian State Institute of Forestry. And on behalf of the Forest for You project and also the FEM2 Forest project, I'm very happy to have this opportunity of this joint webinar. So, what is the background of the webinar? Giacomo, can you skip the slide, please? So me, Katrin Böhling, I have two project backgrounds which I bring in here. One is the Forest for You project, which is about innovation in forestry and agroforestry. What we do in Forest for You is that we try to link different operational groups. These are practice-based innovation groups. So Noma, the slides have left again. To bring them together and to do research about innovation in the forest sector and link the different operational groups across Europe, because we think that these are very meaningful ways to make the forest sector more innovative. And the other project is the FEM for Forest project, which is already concluded. The main objective of the FEM for Forest project was to strengthen the role of women in the forest sector, and by that also to make the forest sector more innovative. And the FEM for Forest project has a follow-up project, which is the FEM2 Forest project. And after my presentation, the coordinator of the FEM2 Forest project, Nike Kranj from Slovenia, will say more about the FEM2 Forest project. So I've asked this question, and so one of the things that I saw when I started researching more the innovation literature in the forest research is this sentence. So forestry and innovation, when all foresters are thinking alike, then no one is thinking. And one of the main points that you see in this literature is that it is a mature sector, and it focuses on innovation, particularly on technological or process innovation, but less so on other types of innovation. And also that it has some structural problems that limit the innovativeness of the forest sector. On the other hand, when you look at these findings from research which we did in FEM for Forest, um, there we asked women working in the forest sector, what are your views, what are your perspectives on the forest sector? And they say that this forest sector is an economic sector with a male connotation. And they think that women bring in new perspectives into this forest sector. There's a very large majority of them saying that. So the question is, what happens with these new perspectives that women bring in? And something that you can see also on this slide is that, yes, there are female role models in the forest sector, but not so many of them seem to be in decision-making positions. So let's turn to the next slide, where we have some evidence from the Forest for You project. So the Forest for You project, where I have also conducted a survey analysis. And there we asked, in particular, then also the operational groups, people who are working in operational groups, what do you think, when is the forest sector innovative? And this is the result of a content analysis. So people were asked to complete this sentence: the forest sector is innovative if. And that what comes out of this survey question is that people answered, that our respondents answered, that the sector is innovative if it is sustainable, enhances management practices, improves forest management, increases adaptive capacity of its institutions, and promotes knowledge transfer. So, in other words, the forest sector is innovative if it changes, if it adjusts its ways of working. And the question I'm asking here is, how do we get there? And is it enough if the share of women is increased in the forest sector, or do we actually need more than a higher share of women in the forest sector to make it more innovative? And with that, I want to turn to our agenda. Giacomo, can you? Yes. So here it is. Um, so we have now, after my presentation, we have a presentation from Nike Kreinsch. Um, and Nika is the director of the Slovenian Forestry Institute, and she coordinated the FEM for Forest project, and she's also the coordinator of the FEM2 Forest project. And I'm very happy that she found the time to be here. Then we have a short Q&A session, and I would like to ask you to write your questions into the Q&A section of this meeting, and then we can raise them in the Q&A session. And then after the first Q&A session at 20 past 11, we have three speakers, and I'm very happy that they also found the time to be with us here today. We start with Olena Itani from Ukraine. Welcome, Olena. Um, Olena, she's the head of analytics department of the State Enterprise Forestry Innovation and Analytical Center. She holds an MBA in public management and administration. She's also a researcher of management processes in the field of digital solutions for forestry. Then after that, we have Stephanie Gico from Portugal. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Stephanie is an agroforestry farmer from Portugal, and she manages a 5,000 hectare farm in the middle of Portugal. And yeah, this is a family business. It's already in the fifth generation, and Stephanie will share her experience, what it means to manage such a huge estate. And then after Stephanie, we have a talk from Dagmar Karish-Gira. Dagmar Karish-Gira, she's the chair of the newly founded Women in Forestry International Association. She's also chairing the Austrian Forstfrauen Association. And well, on top of that, or she does these things on top of her regular job, because Dagmar works at the Forest Training Center Fast Pichel, and there her main topics are economics, especially in small-scale forestry, and women in forestry. And in that role, she's also an active participant of the FEM4 Forest and FEM2 Forest project. And then last, we have our concluding words, summary from Teresa Clara Loch, who is the president of the International Forest Student Association. I'm very happy that Teresa found the time to be here. So she is in this year, or until the mid of this year, the president of the IFSA, where she's committed to inclusive forest education, gender equality, and climate justice. And like with many of us, this is on top also of her regular job or her main activity. She conducts a PhD at the University of Freiburg. So very welcome to all of the speakers, to all of our participants. And now I give the floor to Nika.
Thank you, Catherine. I hope that you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So welcome also in my name. As it was already mentioned, I'm coordinator of FEM2 Forest project. And yeah, next slide, please. So I will present not so much, I will not talk so much about the project, but more about the why female empowerment in forestry is still needed. So FEM2 Forest project was born on previous FEM4 Forest project. In FEM4 Forest project, Catherine already presented the main goal of that project, we were looking about on the situation of women in forestry sector and how we can help them to be more visible, and maybe a little bit also in advancing their career. And at the end, we found out that there is not a lot of women working in forestry sector in Danube region. That's why Pen to Forest was born, where we are looking how to bring more young girls into the forestry sector. So that's why the title is Innovative Pathways for Efficient Involvement of Girls and Young Women in the Forestry Sector. There are 15 partners from 9 countries involved. Next slide, please. And everything is financed through the Danube regional Danube Interreg program. So the main objective is to increase the share of women in forestry sector by 2030. So by bringing young girls into the forestry sector. We are looking on multi-stakeholder driven innovative model. So how to involve girls and other stakeholders, mainly educational people from the education, how to bring them together from the beginning of the project, and then together we can find the ways how we can establish later on how we can also change the image of forestry. So next slide. The fact is, please. Yeah, the fact is that in the Danube regions, we have very different countries. These 9 countries vary when we are looking on the equality issues. Here is just one slide from OECD. I will not go into details. I just wanted to show you that the situation in the countries which are involved in the project are very different when we are talking about the gender issues. Next click, please. And it's the same also with the forestry. You know, we have countries. In these 9 countries, we have, for example, in Slovenia, 60%, nearly 60% of land is covered with the forest. On the other side, in Ukraine, only around 14% of land is covered with the forest. So you can see also the difference of importance of forestry sector also. But when we were looking about the situation of women, we found out that in forestry, of course, that there are not many data available. This table is from year 2020 when we made the status report. And the share of women is also very low. So around 20% maximum of women are working in forestry sector. Next slide. So Catherine already mentioned, we did a survey in Fan for Forest project where when we wanted to see how women feel in the forestry sector, what is their role and so on. So more than 800 women, professionals and forest owners were involved in this survey in all countries. And we found out that the main challenges that women are still facing in forestry sector are roles and stereotypes, male-dominated sector, and family care. Next click, please. And we were also asking them if they feel equally treated at work, also in hiring process and so on. And here you can see that there is still a large share of women saying no, so they don't feel like equally treated at work, especially if you look here, the red and then also the blue column. And you see that there's many countries, around 50% of women or even more feel like they are not equally treated. Next click. And then this year we did an alumni study among forest professionals who finished the Faculty of Forestry in our countries. And we asked them there if they face gender-related challenges in their forestry education. And you see again this blue and orange column, a large share saying yes. So these are some signals that are showing that there are really still a problem of stereotypes and the roles that are there in forestry. Next click. And yeah, this one. And the top of all, we also ask young girls, which are not yet in forestry. They are mainly in secondary schools. Some are already in secondary school of forestry, but not all in our countries. And we ask them, what are the biggest stereotypes about careers in forestry among youngsters? And you see here, it's not for women, it's all about harvesting trees, is hard physical work, all foresters are lumberjacks, and also low payment and you don't need a higher education for the jobs. So you see here again, also among the youngsters, there is a really strange image of forestry sector. So this is the look from outside to the forestry, how youngsters see the forestry. Next. And then what was also interesting, we asked students, young girls in the faculties, what they see, where they see their future, maybe some innovative practices that they are interested in. And here, interesting, for example, forest wellness and forest therapy tourism was the highest, followed by innovative approaches in wood production, use of artificial intelligence in forest management, and then are also innovative forest bioeconomy and remote sensing. So you can see that there are some new ideas, maybe for us a little bit new innovative ideas that are coming with the youngsters. Next slide. So the forestry sector is changing. We can see these ideas. We collected a lot of data through our two projects. Some of them are already published, mainly the old studies from FEM for forest. Now we are working on a new study for FEM to forest and some other reports so that we will show our decision makers what is happening and what is actually the image of forestry. So we believe that with the climate change, also the forestry is in kind of transformation, and that the women should play a stronger role in this transformation in climate adaptation and mitigation. We also saw in Catherine's one of the slides that we believe that women are bringing some new perceptions. So I think also, quite often we are talking about the green jobs, but forestry is not listed among green jobs, which is really something completely wrong. I believe that forestry is one of the most greenest jobs in this time, but it looks like that youngsters are not seeing forestry there. And if forestry is all about harvesting, then we are not really a green job. But we all know that forestry is not only about harvesting, it's also about all the other functions of forestry and so on. So what we really need, this one click, what we really have to work on the changing image. And it's also interesting here, the motivation. We asked women who are already working in forestry, what is their motivation to work in forestry sector? And here we see really the role of women and this passion to work in the forests, work with the nature, work with the resource management and so on. So here we see really that women could play even more important role in promotion of this, as we call it now, green jobs. Next click. So the most important is the women could help to change the image of forestry. That's why, of forest sector as such. That's why we are also developing now the ambassador program, so that women would be a kind of ambassador of forestry among youngsters to promote forestry as one. And in the FEM for Forest project, we developed the mentoring program. So for the young girls, women who already finished the studies, so that we can help them in developing their careers. And the next click. And I think that Dagmar will speak more about that. I think that women in forestry are not visible enough. Often a lot of them are not on top decision positions. And I think that we can change this in general also with networks, being more connected, working together, and bringing new informations to the answer into the world. That's why WOFO International, so international organization, bringing women together, was established a few years ago. And I'm very happy that Dagmar will present this association. So next slide. I'm coming now to the end. I would like to thank you. And I would also invite you to follow the results of FEM to Forest project. We have internet page and Facebook where we are trying to promote our results. And now I think the important step is to change the image of forestry among youngsters. We are now starting with a campaign to promote forestry as a profession for the future. It's also the profession of today, I'm sure about that, but also for the future among youngsters. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Nika, for your presentation and uh, for making your plea about changing the image of forestry. Um, I cannot open the Q&A chat, but maybe someone can help me if there are any questions.
Catherine, no question for now.
No.
No questions for now?
Yeah, no, right. So I think we can go on.
Then I would propose that we do the short Mentimeter exercise. Giacomo, can you open it?
Yes, in a moment.
So we prepared a short Mentimeter to bring all of us on the same page.
Yeah.
So can you please, if you have your phone with you, open the QR code and answer this question. Innovation in general is a process of making changes to something established by introducing something new. Do you agree? The figure is still changing. Okay, so I think most of us have more or less answered this question. Um, it seems that most of us either agree or completely agree with this statement, which is like a common definition in the forest innovation research literature. And I mean, talking about changing something established by introducing something new, as like, for instance, referring to a greater role of women, but changing the image of forestry, as Nika pointed out. Thank you very much for your response to this question. I see that two people or one person has some comments that he wants to add. So because we have a little bit of time left, I encourage Giacomo to say what he would like to comment.
Yeah, I was waiting for Ibrahim, if I'm not wrong.
Ibrahim, do you want to say what you want to comment?
So you can write it down on the chat box, or you can go to the question and answer box if you want.
I would say
Whenever,
that Ibrahim can say it now, or speaking out loud.
yeah, so we can see because the participants are not allowed. to speak.
Okay.
But I see that he's writing right now. No problem, Ibrahim. That's fine.
Ibrahim joined us from Pakistan and says that there are a lot of problems to women in the forestry sector in his country. Yeah, maybe with in this respect, there is, for instance, also a course. It's called Forgetty. It's about women in forestry and gender equality. And there I think we also have stories from Pakistan. Maybe you want to check that out also. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
I just
Teresa.
Yeah,
Yes.
Catherine, just there was a request in Quay part about the presentation.
Okay.
About my presentation, I can send it. It can be available after this webinar. It's not a problem.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. Dear audience, we are recording this webinar, and we will also make our slides available on our website.
Yeah, in any case, we are going to have a second Q&A session later. So everything that is spotting in a Q&A box or the chat box, we can also manage to address it later. So I think we can go on with the presentations.
Yes, then we go on to with the other presentation. So now the floor is to Olena from Ukraine. Olena, please start with your comments.
Good day, dear colleagues, partners, guests. Thank you for the opportunity to join in this important webinar. I have an honor to speak on behalf of the State Enterprise Forestry Innovation and Analytical Centers. We are the main administrator of digital forestry solution in Ukraine. In the era of rapid technological, environmental, and social transformation, the forestry sector of Ukraine is moving forward with confidence, embracing innovation and transparency as a guidance principles. Please, next slide. Let me highlight several key digital tools we are implemented. It's electronic wood register is the main tool and the main system for accounting and controlling forest resources. Air lodging ticket, it's a digital permit document for wood harvesting. A certificate of original of wood, it's a digital document for confirmation of legality of original of timber for export operation. Automatic fire monitoring system, it's a platform for real-time detection and response for the for forest fires. Please, next slide. These tools are not just technical upgrades. We are part of the broader vision of openness, of responsibility, of sustainable development in line with the European and international standards. Please, next slide. But today I want to speak not only about the digitalization, but also about the people behind it. For example, our enterprise, we are proud to have a gender balanced team. As you can see, 60% of employees are women, and 40% of management positions are held by women. This is not just statistic, it's a strategic goal. Please, next slide. We are telling about the women in digital transformation. Why it's important. High emotional intelligence. Women bring to this sector high emotional intelligence, critical for designing user-friendly, human-centric services. The ability to listen deeply as the user needs and anticipate their expectation. a focus on long-term values and sustainability, not just immediate technical outputs. Please, next slide. We are telling about the important facts. According to the World Economic Forum, it will take another 134 years to achieve the full gender parity in the world. Please, next slide. If we are telling about the famous research, for example, the Harvard Business Review confirmed that the teams with the cognitive diversity, including gender, solve complex problems faster and make better decisions. The Boston Consulting Group shows us that the companies with a more diverse leadership generate more innovation and make a good revenue. Please, next slide. Why we're telling about this topic? This is not. This is a part of our vision. It's a part of our mission. We promote in daily work. We need to unlock the potential of the women and other representatives in digital forest sector. For example, we can make some specific action. To provide mentoring and leadership development program for the women, to create digital education with a gender-sensitive component, support the women-led forestry startups, and activate involvement of women in the international digital initiatives. Please, next slide. We are telling that the forest digitalization is not only about the technology, it's also about the people. Every representative can equally be a driving force in the digital transformation. When the women are equally involved, the solution we build become more effective, more sensitive, more human. We believe in the wisdom of innovation diversity. Please, next slide. Thank you for the attention, and we thank you for joining us in the building an inclusive, transparent, and sustainable digital future for our forests. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Olena. If you have any questions for Olena's presentation, please don't hesitate to raise them in the chat. With this, I would like to give the floor to Stephanie, who joined us from Portugal. Stephanie, the floor is yours. And she also prepared a presentation.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all. I'm going to talk to you about cork extraction and harvesting. I manage a family estate in Portugal, which is 5,000 hectares. And despite the diversity of activities that are managed on this very large property, that include rice, vegetables, eucalyptus, pine nuts, breeding cattle and horses, fattening black pigs, honey, and even oysters, I am going to focus on the cork because it is our most important production. Slide, please. I will explain how modern innovation will change the face of traditional methods used for extracting the cork. Cork, probably the most ecological and sustainable product of forestry today. It has been used for centuries widely, known for the bottle stoppers or amphora lids, or floats in fishing nets, and more recently, as insulation in buildings and even in the nose of the space shuttles. It has always been harvested by hand during the summer months when the weather is hot and dry. Men use a small axe, like the one you can see, to strip off to cut off the strips of the oak trees, and then used the V-shape end of the handle to pull that off of the tree. This work requires much knowledge and experience, know-how, how to cut into the bark, where to stop it, and to know what the quality of the bark will be, of the cork will be. It looks extremely easy, but it is an extremely physical work, slide please, and requires a man's strength. Women have always been left to gather the fallen strips of cork, or to pile them, or to paint the number on the trees indicating the year of the extraction. All of this know-how is unfortunately disappearing, and with labor costs rising, solutions are being studied. One of this is this hydrodigital chainsaw that measures the humidity of the air and the tree, knowing at which thickness to stop the cut. Coupled with this funny opener, it literally looks like a can opener, it allows for the work to be done not only mechanically, but in advance, 2 weeks in advance, before the strips are actually removed. Usually the cut is done at the same time. Uncannily, as you can see, these machines will allow women to participate more actively in the harvest, becoming active cutters and not just followers. Cork, known as Quercus suber, native to the Alentejo area of Portugal, is a cultural landscape, and it's a World Heritage Site. Whether it be harvested traditionally or with modern machinery, by women or by men, it needs to be protected from ongoing pests, soil deterioration, and climate change. I have made this presentation very short, simply because I thought it was important for you to see how machinery and innovation can bring a big change into what has been centuries of traditional extraction of cork. As women, we cannot go against the fact that we are physically different than men, and in this work, it really does require the strength of a man. But as we can see here, we will be able to participate more actively, and we will be able to share the load of the extraction in a different way. And I'll be happy to answer if anyone has any questions. Thank you for your time, and thank you for having me on this webinar.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Showing these many pictures from Portugal, from cork production. Yes, so please raise your questions if you have any and put them into the chat. What I liked here about this presentation, Nika mentioned earlier that forestry is much more than, and also agroforestry than harvesting wood or harvesting cork production. You mentioned it also at the beginning of your presentation. Thank you for that. So now we are ready with our, we go to our third speaker, who is Dagmar Karish-Gira, the chair of the Women in Forestry International Association.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Katrin, and a very late good morning to all of you. As Katrin mentioned before, I'm working at the Forest Training Center Pichli in Austria, and therefore we were a partner in the project FEM for Forest, which Nike also mentioned already. And now we are a partner in the project FEM2 Forests. And WOFO, Women in Forestry International, is a kind of a baby of FEM for Forest. And I'm happy to tell you a few things about how it came to be part of this great network. The next slide, please. Nike told you already that we had a lot of research work, interviews and surveys in FEM for Forest and also in FEM2 Forests. And these interviews and surveys showed us that one thing women really say that they need to be successful in forestry is that they want to share experiences, they want to share knowledge, they want to see and have the feeling that they are not alone, they are not the only woman who is working and sometimes fighting in forestry. And therefore, they really articulated that they want to have role models and they need a kind of circle to exchange, as I mentioned, their experiences, their thoughts, and to make new plans. And that's exactly what a network offers for men and for women, of course. Next slide, please. Well, networks really have a very, very long history. I guess probably the first human network arose when the first human beings met. And nowadays we know that even animals know how to network. The first really proven networks I found were, for example, one click, please, Giacomo. That's a picture of a Greek school. You know, Aristoteles and his colleagues, we had philosophical schools, which were, I guess, one of the first known networks. The next picture shows, Giacomo, click, please. The Historic Society in Great Britain, I guess. Another click shows us a typical association, a typical network, a students' association, and also in other fields of life, for example, sports, we have networks, of course. So networks are nothing new, not at all. The next slide, please. I asked Google to bring me a picture of a typical male network. And now you see men sitting in a dark room. Everybody's looking very, very serious, looking very important, looking very similar. So that's the picture I already have in mind when I'm thinking of male networks. In forestry, of course, they would all wear green clothes, but I guess that would be the only difference. I also asked Google to bring me a picture of a female network. And then I got this picture. You see, it's not in a dark room. It's bright, it's colorful, people are smiling. The ladies are smiling, of course, it's the women's networks. So I guess the differences between the two networks are quite obvious. There are differences between male and female networks, and the next slide will show us the different aspects. Giacomo, please proceed to the next slide. And I guess these differences, just stop here, please. These differences already show the innovative character of women's networks. I found 2 articles comparing male and female networks, and they clearly point out that there are various aspects where we can find differences. On the left-hand side, you see the characteristics of male networks. Regarding the aims and priorities of male networks, it says that they focus on building strategic alliances, career advancement is quite important in male networks. They are focusing on building powerful structures, on gaining influence. On the other hand, female networks rather focus on supporting, mentoring, and sharing experiences among women. That's what I mentioned before, which was clearly pointed out in our interviews in FEM2 Forests and FEM for Forest. They put their focus on mutual help and empowerment, and personal development through helping each other. When we came to structure and dynamics, another click, please. Male networks are very often based on informal ties, on sympathies, on similarities. Men very often tend to support other men who are quite thinking the same way, looking the same way, having same aims and goals. Men's networks are very often quite exclusive. They are rather closed groups, and the mutual benefit is very important. Female networks, on the other hand, it was also mentioned before by the Ukrainian presentation, they tend to be and to think more inclusive and create a supportive community. They foster a culture of collaboration and sharing and promoting each other. Next click, please. The next aspect is mentoring and support. Mentoring is a very powerful instrument to support other colleagues, most times younger colleagues. Among men, mentoring is usually a less formal thing. They enter networks very easy, very often via relatives or acquaintances. And mentoring is quite informal relationships, and the networks are very often quite informal, while female mentoring very often happens within a formal frame. For example, like we had it in Femme for Forest, where we educated mentors. And the last aspect is the aspect of challenges. Nike mentioned already that among women, we have very few women with already high position in forestry. Male networks usually benefit from existing power structures and from the positions their members have already. In female networks, we have fewer women in higher positions, and this might limit the effectiveness of the network. But from my personal experience, as I have been the chairwoman of the Austrian Forest Fund for the last, I'm afraid to say it, more than 20 years. So that means our network is quite old right now, and our members grew in the same way as our network grew. And now at the Austrian Forest Fund, we have already women in quite high positions, and I have to admit that that's really a big help. So we have hopes for our new baby, for WOFO. And that brings me to the next point. Next slide, please, Giacomo. WOFO was founded in a very, very interesting way, I can say, because WOFO was founded while we were working on Femme for Forests, and this project started during the COVID pandemic. So everything which took place online. And one of the events we visited, we were invited from a Polish network for women in forestry to an online conference, and there we learned that there are more than networks for women in forestry than in Germany and in Austria. We knew each other, but we found out that there are networks for women in forestry in Norway, in Poland, in Iceland, in the Baltic countries, and so on. And very, very soon we realized that it's really important to keep these very, very valuable contacts. And you know, all when projects are finished, the contacts are getting loose. And within a few hours of virtual meeting, we decided we want to have a new network. And I guess that's really an innovative character, an innovative sign. I'm not sure if men who don't really know each other just from the screen would have the courage to say, yes, these guys have interesting ideas. We want to create a new network without really knowing each other, knowing which status everybody brings in, and so on. But we said we want to keep this spirit we have right now. We want to support women all over the world. We want to connect existing networks. And I guess It took 3 meetings. Nike, please correct me. I guess, Katrin, you were also with us. It took about 3 or 4 online meetings. We still only knew each other online to create what you see now here on the screen, our mission. We want to be a leading international organization to bring women together in forestry all over the world. We want to make them stronger. We want to make them more visible. We want to make them heard. The main goal is to connect existing networks on the one hand, but also support the creation of new networks in other countries. And we want to make these networks more influential, give them more space, integrate them at national and international forestry levels. WOFO wants to offer various opportunities. We want to build relationships and exchange ideas among women and also among networks. We want to share all our skills, our information, our expertise. We want to empower and support women in the forest-based sector in all countries we connect. We want to collaborate and open linkages between our networks and other initiatives for women in forestry, but also with other organizations working on forestry, and say, yes, women are an important and innovative part of forestry. And we want to improve the performance of all our organizations and partners and members. Let's go to the next slide, please. Where did we start? You see the umbrella there. We still have the thought that WOFO is a kind of umbrella organization for all networks who want to be together under this umbrella. Click, please. Here you see the, just one click back, please. Yes, let's stop here, please. These are the countries which started WOFO. We had our founders in Iceland, in Poland, in Germany, and in Austria, where we had already existing networks for women in forestry. And we also have 2 founding members from Ukraine, Lesia Lojka and Niki Krajnc is our Slovenian founding member. And then we started to grow. The next click, please. And that's the current status where we are right now. Among all these countries, we have Great Britain, Wales, and Scotland. We have 1 member from Norway. We have a member from Portugal. Where you see only single persons, there we don't have existing networks right now. We have single members also from Romania, from I guess it's Bosnia, from Switzerland, and from Czechoslovakia. But we also have 2 new networks, which is really a great pleasure for us, in Spain and in Mongolia. That's our current status. I'm not sure if I mentioned it before. We have about 1,000 members among this umbrella right now, and it's really, really great to work with all these women. The next slide, please. Yes, and to give you an impression what it looks like when women from all these countries are coming together. These are pictures from the last WOFO meeting, which was organized together with the FEM2 Forests project in Porto Roche last, was it November or October? Last autumn. Anyway, you see us on site in the conference room, and the 2 pictures below are from the field trip. We did some reforestation work, and on the picture in the left, you can see we also planted trees. Now we have a FEM2 forest tree, and behind the grass, we also have a WOFO tree, and we hope that it will grow and grow and really get strong roots and also a strong crown. So that's what WOFO is all about. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present it. And I will also be happy to answer your questions. And if you want to know more about WOFO, just check our Facebook site, and we're already on LinkedIn. We will have a website quite soon. I hope so, at least. And I will be happy also to answer your questions later if you want to contact me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dagmar, for this nice presentation. I like your ideas about networks and the differences between different networks. So now I would like to give the floor to our audience. If there are any questions, I still have a technical issue with the Q&A session.
Yeah,
So I
Catherine.
need Giacomo
Yeah, I
if
can
there are
see.
any questions.
I can see a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So
We can hear you.
I will read it for everyone. It's from Ilse. So it's about, do you think the reason women's networks focus more on support because the sector is designed for men and thus women need more help from each other in order to thrive in the sector?
So this is a question for Dagmar.
Yes, I think so. I guess forestry, as we already saw, very impressive by Nika's presentation. Forestry is dominated by men. It's not bad. It's fact of history. It's dominated by men. Its structure is made by men, and its structure in very many aspects is still designed for men. And it's harder for women to enter these forestry networks because very often they don't have the connections. We discussed it a few weeks ago in one event of Fem2Forests. For example, if a young man enters forestry, very often he comes out from his family. He was taken to the forests by his father. He was taken to events by his father. And when he takes over the forest enterprise, he's already known by all other forest owners, for example. On the other hand, it's really a very rare fact that a young woman takes over a forestry enterprise, for example, and very often she's not known at all by the neighbors, by other forest owners, by people designing the structures around her local forestry. And that makes it harder for women to get the same information, to enter the same structures. And that's why I think why Network for Women in Forestry are that important, to give them the same promotion men have without any question, because they are kind of born into that. I hope that answers your question, Ilse.
Thank you, Dagmar.
Thank you, Dagmar. Yeah. Also, Nika shared the invitation for the third International Wolfer Conference. So you can see. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nika. I forgot that.
Yeah,
Our
it's
next
there.
meeting will be in Iceland, and it will really be a great event in the end of October. If you want to have a look at the LinkedIn site and Facebook, you should already find the save the date with some information about that. Thank you, Nika, for reminding me.
Giacomo, are there more questions in the Q&A?
Not for the moment. That's fine. So I think maybe one more just now. So from Anna, actually. Thank you so much for the nice presentation. My question goes to you all. How are you planning to involve the illiterate women and the ones not on social media to increase the number of women, as they are the most affected by climate change? So this is the question. Who wants to
Maybe
go for it?
I can start answering.
Yeah,
as
sure.
I'm working in the Forest Training Center, Pichel, we have special courses addressing women. We still have our course program printed on paper, which is sent to all our participants from the last, I guess, 5 or 10 years. We distribute our information to our district chambers, because our training center belongs to the Chamber of Agriculture and Forestry in Styria. We have district chambers in all districts of Styria, and our colleagues there are printing, for example, if we have a course for all our courses and hanging it out. So there are several ways to reach women if they're not on social media. That's what we do. And we have a share of women in our courses, in our training center, of about 25%. But I have to admit that most of them are participating in courses around forest pedagogics. We have very few women in chainsaw courses, for example, but we have local partners all over Styria who are organizing courses, who are informing women, so via newspaper and so on. So there are ways to reach them.
Maybe if I can add something here, something that we made really big in the Fem for Forest project is that I think that our forestry institutions should really also go to where the women are in the forest sector or working with forest, and this is in the forest, go to the forest and create spaces where women can meet in the forest and raise their questions there or mention their concerns, and shape a space where women can interact and to talk about forest issues, forest topics. We call them forest walks, which is something that Dagmar has very well established in Austria. It is has also become big in Bavaria, but I think it is something that is spreading across many countries. So yeah, go. So this would be my suggestion: go to where women are and meet them, provide spaces for them in the forest.
If I may, I will add also that
Yes, Stephanie.
without it being so intellectual, I think that forestry work can be including anyone who is illiterate. I know that in the seasonal workers that work in the forests in Portugal, there are a lot of women who do not speak the language. Now, they may not be illiterate, but there is a communication problem and is mostly done by sign language. And it's also done because they learn on the spot as to what they have to do. And that does not require any reading. It's learning the skills of what is needed in the forest.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, thank you. We have another question actually from
Okay.
Elaine. So it says, could you please share with us if there are plans to expand the network outside Europe, and how can we support it? So I don't know if any of you.
Well, we have already members in Mongolia. It's really great what they formed there. Niki already visited the ladies in Mongolia. We, for example, the Austrian Forest Fund, we have a member in the US. And I really hope that we will get more contact with the US. So we are growing. Everybody who wants to be a member of WOFO can become a member. So you can find our application form on the LinkedIn page and on Facebook, or just write an email to me. And we will be happy to include you to our network. We are doing a lot of our activities online. We have talks, we have newsletters and so on. For international network, of course, it's quite hard to do it without social media and modern media. But as you saw, we are already also meeting physically. And so, in fact, it doesn't matter where you are. And everybody can support WOFO by distributing the information, by bringing in information about your national forestry, by contacting us. So it's a mutual giving and taking.
Any more questions?
Niki, maybe you would like to add?
Okay, no? Okay, that's fine. No more question for the moment, so we can go
Then I
with...
have a question for Olena from Ukraine. Olena, you made this point about digitalization in forestry, and you said something very interesting, namely that women bring in a high emotional intelligence, which is important when developing user-centered devices. This makes very much sense to me because technology is also something very emotional for me. But what is your experiences with this? With this statement in Ukraine, is it something that is easy to digest among your colleagues or in the forest sector in Ukraine, or is it actually a new idea?
Of course, thank you for your question. Thank you for the opportunity to join to this very important discussion. Why we are telling about we are always telling about our mind, about our influence to the digital transformation, but we don't pay attention about our emotion. So the emotional intelligence is very important part of all the solution. When we are making only on the formal way, we can't see on all the part of the question or problem. But when we put our emotions, so the solution become more effective. For example, when we are telling about if we are telling about the digital tools, you can see, for example, the very good solution which is working. But when you put your emotional intelligence to the development of this digital solution, it become more useful, more comfortable, more convenient. So our tools we are making not only with all the law, rules, and all the innovation, but with emotional intelligence.
Thank you very much. In Forest for You, we also have some examples of, let's say, user-centered, user-inclusive technological development. And but so far, I did not really explicitly think about this emotional aspect of it. But I will bear that in mind in the future. Thank you, Olena. Are there any more comments or questions?
Yeah, just another question. So it's from Lesia. Hi, Lesia. So how you suggest to convey the message to men about the value of women in the forest sector? That's the question.
Does it go to someone specifically or to
No,
the general
that's a question
audience?
for all. Yeah, for all.
Okay. Nika, do you want to answer this question? How to convey our message to the men?
It's quite a difficult question because usually we face this, is this a feministic movement or what are these projects now? And we are always trying to say that this is not something like a feministic or something that we are just want to see what is the role of women, how can we support them, to be more visible. And also because forestry sector is facing the problem of workforce, that there is a potential among youngsters, especially young women, to bring them in the forestry sector and really to give this green, not only label of forestry, but also give this the understanding the forest is really a green profession. So how to convey this really the information to men? I think that we are living now in society with this division between men and women is really slowly disappearing. So I think that the most important is that we are not in a fight. We are not combating for something, but we can work together and we can be much stronger if we are working together. So I think the most important is that we are not fighting against male domination or male, but we are trying to work together to find the best solution for forests in this climate change time. I think that's the most important, and really to show the people that we, with the forests together, that we are really important stone in this picture, the whole picture of our future in climate change world. And without forestry, we cannot talk about the CO2 neutral society. So I think that the most important information is that we are really together in this fighting the climate change. This is, I think.
Thank you, Nika. Giacomo, are there any more questions from the floor?
Not for the moment. So if you do not have anything to add, we can go on.
I think then we go to Teresa. Teresa, you will speak out the conclusion for our today's webinar.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's an honor to be here today to represent IFSA. Just a few words on IFSA. IFSA is the International Forestry Students Association. We actually have a quite well balance of women and male in our organization, but I think this also sometimes reflects notions we've already heard today that, when it comes to volunteer work or engagement or like the more political phase of forestry, that sometimes it's more the women who join that part. So yeah, we are also aware of where we are and who we are. And then we are a global organization. So I'm speaking on behalf of an organization that is based in 66 different countries all around the world. And we are actually mostly growing in Asia Pacific and Southern Africa at the moment, which is also really great and interesting development. But yeah, so I'm really trying to I tried to put some ideas together from the presentations today, and also smooth in some thoughts from our students' perspective and the way we currently see, maybe not the sector, but how we see women and yeah, diversity maybe being included in the sector and especially in education. So yeah, please, next slide. So I think what I want to start with is that we heard great, powerful examples today. I was so amazed by the mechanized cork harvesting. Like, I definitely want to learn more about this. So thank you so much for sharing such personal insights and very localized and place-based ideas of how things can actually change. But also to International Women's Network. And I think what is very important, and I really liked also that Katrin included this in the beginning, that innovation to some people still sounds like something maybe technical, like we need to, I don't know, have this crazy engineering invention, but this is not what it's about. It's really about relational, cultural, and social points. And while we do see very great examples, there are, however, revealing there are persistent barriers such as underrepresentation in leadership, invisible work remaining still unrecognized, and also networks still operating in this male-dominated system, what also Dagmar evaluated a little bit more on. Next slide. And again, if we want to maybe rethink it a little bit from below meaning like a young student's perspective, which yeah, I can still talk about, is that innovation is of course not again about the tools, but people about the participate and how. And I really like that. I think Olena actually was it who said also that the forest digital innovations are not about the technology, but really about the people. And I think this is really what is important and what we can take from today, that there are amazing people out there and that they can really shape how forestry will look like in the next years. And we talked about, I mean, it's a Forest for You project, so quite European focused. Nevertheless, we, as we saw in the chat, have people from all around the world. And as IFSA members, we are also very aware of global inequalities. I mean, we are also an organization which operates in a system that is still a lot of divisions between global north and global south, but even in Europe, in the forestry sector, we know that there are quite some inequalities within it itself. And I just wanted to point it out. Oh no, please go back. Thanks. I just wanted to also point out that in IFSA, we usually use the term women, intersex, non-binary, trans, and agender people. And we just want to we are aware that it's not a very commonly used term, especially not in the English language. In German language, there's a bit. But we just want to also highlight that it's not just women who are marginalized in this patriarchal system, but it's a lot of other people who also suffer from it, and people we simply don't have data on in the forestry sector because they might not really be there and not be present. So while we today very focused on women, we also just want to highlight that there's a very intersectional inclusion as well in forestry innovation that should come. And this brings me back to the point as well that research has shown that youth actually often feel disconnected today to like the traditional or more conventional forestry sector, and that we should really reimagine around justice, diversity, and care. And I think all the examples we heard today were a great start for this. Next slide. So again, projects like Fem for Forest and Fem to Forest, both are with digital, so show really that support structures really do matter, and that it's not about inclusion itself, but it's really about the voice and the influence and the safety. So I think all the women and female voices we heard today, like this is already an example, coming back to mentoring, this point of, you know, if you see role models, if you have a network where you feel safe, you can actually maybe have more space in your head to come up with innovations and to brainstorm with other people who think alike. So as students, we still see that there are few winter individuals in technical decision-making roles. There might be a lack of co-created solution with local youth. So really bringing back this point. I mean, Lena had a really good example, but that it also needs to be place-based. And at the same time, we have global issues, but I think bringing it back to the local point is that what we discuss with students is the most important. Like, how can we change the forest in front of our doors? And sometimes in the forestry sector, there's still a little space for critical reflection, alternative knowledge. But again, I think the examples we actually heard today that show that there can be the space for it. Next slide, please. So I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I just thought it was such a great diversity of people who spoke today from different areas of the forestry sector as well. So today's examples show us definitely what's possible. So maybe we could also then continue asking what's systematic and what's still exceptional. So forestry, the future of the forestry sector and also its innovation very much depends from my point of view on embedded inclusion. And of course, from a student's perspective, education and training is the most important part. And every time I see an advertisement for a female chainsaw class, I'm just happy about it because I think these are spaces that can, bring us all together and show the empowerment of us still in the male-dominated sector. But yeah, of course, it's also about policy design and very much partnerships in research, but also organization. So yeah, very much hoping for more care, more cooperation, collaboration, but also maybe more critique, like being critical on the sector itself and not just competitiveness, which I think one of, when Dagmar talked about the different networks and how male networks worked, sometimes, showing an alternative to a very competitive networking structure. Next slide. So with I hope these were closing remarks in a way that I tried to capture a few of your examples and a few of the thoughts at least I had today, and I'm happy to discuss or hear any other. But I think we definitely heard stories of quick progress, and maybe we hinted at barriers that still exist, but I think also in the last Q&A, it became clear that there are ways possible forward. So I think we can take some cautious hope. At least I'm a big fan of hope and optimism in the sector that we can change and that meetings and webinars like today bring us together and give us some optimism that there are things out there we can do together. So I think the point of Women in Winter really facilitating innovation and thereby changing the sector and maybe coming back what I think Katrin, I think actually Nika in the beginning said that the forestry sector is transforming and needs to transform and that we can be an active part of this transformation. So yeah, so it's not just the question whether as institutions are ready to move, but how we move with them. And I think what we see today is promising. And it reminds us structural changes take time and continued effort. But I think if we look back, and I'm pretty sure Dagmar has a way better overview than I do, but like what changed in the last 20 years in the forestry sector has been amazing. And there has been progress. And yeah, I can only hope for the next 20 years. And I'll see where I'll be in the next 20 years and look back to this. So yeah, thanks everybody for being here and asking questions and presenting the examples.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Also, so now we also had another actually presentation from Teresa, but she pulled a lot of things together from the previous presentation. Thank you very much, Teresa. With that, I want to conclude our webinar today on women and facilitation of innovation in the forest sector, too easy to be true. So what I take away from this is the notion of embedding inclusion in existing structures, but also embedding innovation into existing structures. From Teresa, also this point about it's not about women only, but also other groups of people are marginalized in the forest sector. Thank you very much also for pointing to that. Sometimes we tend to forget that. So I wish you a great weekend. We have recorded this webinar and Giacomo, thank you very much to coordinate this event for us and
No,
to
thank
make it
you all very
everything
much.
possible.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
So
It was very, very interesting to hear all these perspectives. And yeah, so thank to all the speakers for all their valuable contributions. So this webinar was organized by the Forest for You project. I'm Giacomo, and I'm taking care about the dissemination and communication of this project. I really wanted to encourage you all to go on our website, forest4u.eu. So we have a lot of material available. We are aiming to connect operational groups around Europe's with innovation by encouraging the knowledge of sharing knowledge. So once again, thank you all. Thank you, Catherine, for moderating this this webinar, and for all of your contributions. I saw much participation from the audience with questions, and then that was great to see that. Yeah. So thank you very much to you all.